So the third in our session about content strategy, we have Hannah, and she's going to be talking about her experiences both as, I was going to jump, I'm going to do this now, as a blogger on the one side, and then why did I do that? That's frankly, anyway, Hannah, everybody, a big round of applause.
Hi everyone, I hope you've had a really great day at Brighton so far. There's only a couple of sessions left until you can go and get yourselves a nice cold beer. But before you do that, I would like to speak to you about blogger outreach. The name of my talk is Hello, my name is Blogger, Don't Make Me Mad. So a bit about me. I am the head of content and PR at an agency called White.net in Oxford and in London. But on the side, I write a couple of lifestyle blogs. One is all about travel and adventure, and the other is all about beers and burgers. As you can see, I get to eat burgers wherever I go on my travels. Being in this position, as both a blogger and someone that works in the digital marketing industry, I have a pretty good insight into the relationship that we have with bloggers and vice versa. So I'd like to give you some of my insights on this so you can help to develop your relationships when you do outreach in the future. So the first question is, why do we work with bloggers as an industry? Well, I have a couple of ideas of my own that I would like to share with you. The first of which is that bloggers are usually very focused on niches. So as you know, I have a travel and adventure blog, but you can actually get to dig deeper than this. So instead of just travel, which is quite broad, you might have a blogger who only focuses on long distance walking, or you might have a blogger who focuses on the best beaches to go in Thailand. It can be really, really niche. And along with this, you can have their community, so the people that actually engage with their content. So not only are you hitting up that one blogger, but you're also engaging with all the people that come back to that blog to consume and engage with that content because that's the topic that they really are passionate about. But that's what I think. But what do you think? Well, I did a poll on Twitter and I asked you, what were your top reasons with working with bloggers? And here are the results. 22% of you said link building was the #1 reason that you work with bloggers. 22% of you said it was to get product and place reviews. 28% of you said you wanted to increase social shares. And in first place, with slightly more votes, but the same percentage, 28% of you said you wanted to publish your content with bloggers. So that's what you want. But what do bloggers want? Well, I asked them too. And I did the same thing. And I asked through a Twitter poll, why do you work with PRs? And here are the responses. 14% of them said they wanted exclusive content. 22% said they wanted to review products and places. 29% said they wanted to build relationships with us. And in first place, 35% said that they wanted new opportunities. Well, this is really interesting. And I'm pretty sure from those two slides, you can kind of see that what we want and what they want might not completely tally up. So I want to ask you, how are we fucking up? Well, as an industry, we love to blame pretty much anything, and in this instance, we blame time and budgets. This is a quote that I would like to read for you. It's from Laura, who is a writer at the site 6 out of 10, and she works in the PR industry. She said, "I'm not going to spend a week emailing each blogger individually, waxing lyrical about how great their blog is for the sake of pleasantries, with no guarantee it's going to be worth it. What if I spend an hour reading a blog, crafting a pitch, and the blogger doesn't reply?" Well, if you've done blogger outreach before, I'm sure you've been there before. And if you have had like perfect success with every single outreach attempt, then you've done a really great job, but it doesn't usually happen. So we just have to remember that when we are reaching out to bloggers, we're not always going to get a positive response for them, but just try and be as targeted as you can and use some of the tips that I've got later on in my presentation. Another thing that we do is that we forget that bloggers are not journalists. Sometimes we generalize when we do outreach. We go, oh yeah, we need to do some outreach, so I'm going to hit up the press, I'm going to hit up bloggers. Well, they're not actually the same, and this quote summarizes it really well. It's from the Media Vision blog. "People start blogs because they love something and want to share that love and their own view on it in a different way. They do not get paid for their time and often spend considerable hours making their blog perfect." Okay, so think about it this way. A blogger has started their blog because they have passion for a topic, whereas a journalist has likely started because that's the career path that they want to go down. They're passionate about writing, and they might enjoy topics within that, but their primary function for their role is through journalism. So we need to remember that they're not all the same, and we need to take that differently when we do outreach. Another thing we do is that we ignore that as an industry, we're kind of partly to blame for our relationships with bloggers. And this is due to the split between editorial and advertorial. Sometimes we don't quite know what we want. So editorial coverage is earned media that a brand receives from publishing companies because the information was compelling enough for its audience to cover the information. This is different from advertorial, which we pay people to cover the information. So we need to remember that there are lots of different parties here. We've got PR agencies, we've got SEO teams, we've got paid media teams as well. And we all want something different when we're working with bloggers. And put it this way, as little as a few years ago, we kind of made paid links the norm within the SEO industry. We reached out to bloggers and we wanted links like everywhere on their sites. It didn't matter whether it was on their footer, their sidebar, their blog roll, maybe even a sneaky link within some previously existing content on their site. We wanted them. Some of us might even still do it today, shame on you. And basically what happened was that penalty warnings started coming to bloggers, or they might have heard about it, and they might have learned a little bit on the topic, but not enough to properly understand it like we do as an industry. So as an industry, we did have to react to this, and we made a shift. Instead, we offered great content, and we offered this to bloggers instead. And by the polls that I did before on Twitter, this is your primary reason for working with bloggers. This is what you want to do. You want to seed your content with bloggers. But the problem is that bloggers can't always necessarily separate our efforts when we're doing outreach. Are we trying to get links? Are we trying to just promote something that's really great and worthy of that without paying for it? It can be quite confusing. So if you remember this, 28% of you want to publish your content with bloggers. But then remember this, only 14% of them really want that exclusive content on the site. So there is a bit of discrepancy between what we want and what they want. Which leads me on to this. What the fuck is nofollow? Okay, as an industry, this is something that we're likely to speak about a lot. If we're doing things like link reviews and using tools like Kaboo, it's a term that we're going to know. We know when it should be used and we know when it shouldn't be used. Bloggers don't really have this luxury. They're not doing their blog to sort of read up on the new SEO news. They're doing it because they're really interested in their topics. So they might miss things like this. This is an example from a blog called Amuse Your Bouche. It is a food blog. And the blogger there has done a really great post on when to use nofollow links. Now, despite how great the post is, Sylvia has left a comment in the comment section which says, "Great write-up. I never understood why a nofollow should be on a link. Although you made it easy to understand, I still have a question. If I'm writing up a recipe and mention a rice cooker and use a link to Amazon to purchase a rice cooker, should that be a nofollow? Or maybe I mention a restaurant and add their link. In the case of the rice cooker, I would make a commission, but for the restaurant, nothing." So as an industry, we would probably know when to use it. A blogger might not necessarily understand this as easily as we would, which is unfortunate, because if you have a look at that, 1 month ago, the post on Search Engine Land, Google to bloggers, disclose and nofollow links when reviewing gifted products. So a warning of a new manual action that was going to be sent out to bloggers for paid links in exchange for product reviews. Now, as an industry, we're likely to see this news because we spend hours of our day trawling through social media, Twitter, and we see all these articles. Maybe we even have Google Alerts set up so it comes to our inbox and we know things as soon as they happen. Again, this isn't a blogger's primary function. This isn't what they spend their days doing. They are focused on their topic that they're passionate about. Again, which is unfortunate because 1 month later, new post on Search Engine Land, Google's manual action penalty this weekend was over free product reviews. So we've kind of made bloggers responsible by some of the tactics that we use maybe now and maybe in the past. So this is what I have to think about it, but I wanted to share with you what another blogger had to say on this topic. So I've focused on Janet. She is a blogger at Journalist on the Run. She uses the word journalist because she thinks she gets more respect from using this term as opposed to the term blogger. But she's been featured in places like National Geographic, the Matador Network, and the Huffington Post. So she's a great influencer, and we should probably pay attention to what she has to say. So she did a post on her blog, and it was all about exposure and how it annoys her that this is the currency that is sometimes used by agencies like us and also brands in payment for bloggers for their services. She started with a great cartoon, which I'll show you in a minute, but she started off this and I wanted to give you this background information. She said, I saw this cute but painfully accurate cartoon shared by Gloria from the blog abroad, and it made me laugh, cry, and get quite angry all at once. Mainly thanks to the amount of emails I have received this week asking me to do things for free. Oh, sorry, I meant for exposure. So here we go. Hello, creative person. Thanks for making that thing. You're welcome. Here's an invoice. An invoice, never mind that. You're doing it for the exposure. Here's your exposure. Oh, well, that's a ton of exposure. Thank you. Later, do you accept these? Haha, fuck no. So basically, she doesn't want to get taken for a ride. She doesn't want to be doing things and not getting anything in return. So she's put together these great misconceptions about travel bloggers, and you can use this across other sectors aside from travel, but it's just a nice, friendly example to show you today. The first misconception is that travel bloggers only want free stuff. Now, if you remember the polls that we did previously, this isn't the #1 thing that bloggers want. It actually came in 3rd place, I think, so we can already dispel that myth. She said, sometimes I believe the older generation has no freaking clue how hard us bloggers work. They think it's a cute little hobby, and thus they can ask us to do things, or for us to be their little guinea pigs, and that we will be grateful for anything that comes our way. So, dispelled. We know that's not true. The second one is that travel bloggers aren't good brand ambassadors. So there's a backstory here. A jewelry company reached out to Janet, and they said, would you like to show our products across your social media accounts as you're on your travels? Maybe you can take some pictures and put it on your Instagram. So she doesn't usually do this kind of thing because it's not strictly related to travel, but in this instance, she thought, actually, that sounds kind of interesting. That might be quite cool. So she started to engage with that company. And they could have gone down that route, and she would have been happy to cover it until they asked her to pay for the shipping for her to get the jewelry sent to her house. So she had to say, if you think that my blog and Instagram is so good that I should be your brand ambassador, show a little respect and don't ask me to pay to promote your business. I think that's fair enough, to be honest. Travel bloggers aren't travel writers. Now, we know there's a difference between journalists and bloggers, but it doesn't mean that a blogger can't be a great writer. And a travel brand in the UK identified this, and they reached out to Janet and they said, hey, would you like to write some content for our website? Well, she was flattered, got back in touch with them, and they started communications. She asked how she would be paid, and this is the response that she got from the head of marketing. The way I see this relationship working is that you provide us content of luxury travel, and we increase your viewer account on our blog and our social media. I really think we can do some great things together. Okay, so she might not be getting paid for this, but maybe if they've got so many followers that she can get more traction to her blog and actually increase her viewers, then maybe she can reach new parts of the audience that she wouldn't have had before. So let's have a look at their social media followers on Twitter. Janet's got over 6,000 followers, so hopefully this travel brand has like loads and loads of followers so we can start to get more people to see her content. Well, they don't. They have 269. So obviously in this scenario, it's not going to be the best opportunity for her to take, so you can see that she would definitely turn that one down. Another one is travel bloggers don't work hard, and this is something I can testify to myself because having a full-time job and a couple of blogs on the side, it's really hard to fit in the time to actually write posts, do all the edits, and things like that. So I definitely understand where she's coming from. She had an anecdote from the Blogger Awards that she went to in Ireland, and the woman that she was listening to said that people think a blogger's job is so easy, all they need to do is think of something to write about, and then write it. Anyone could do that. Well, really, you've got the idea generation stage, you've got the writing, you've got the editing, you've got metadata, titles, imagery, editing the imagery, doing videos, editing the videos. There's so much involved, whether it's time or money. And as an industry, we really need to respect that actually there's a lot of work that goes into blogging. So I've shown you the doom and gloom, but trust me, we can make things better. And I have a few examples of what we can do. Firstly, we can get better at being more transparent. Here's a snippet from the Webmaster Central blog. And basically, if you do product reviews, pay attention to the last sentence. Companies or the marketing firms they're working with can do their part by reminding bloggers to use no-follow links. Well, great, we can definitely do this, and maybe we should be doing it a bit more, rather than just kind of like hoping for those cheeky followed links that we so desire. But in some scenarios, actually, maybe it's not the best route to go down if we want a long-term relationship with these bloggers. We can also get better at understanding digital PR. It's a really deep topic, and I'm not going to try and pretend to show you everything about this today, but basically I'd love for you to go away and just think about this. So if PR efforts focus on earned media, but bloggers associate themselves potentially as being journalists, then how come blogger outreach sometimes is paid media? It's a very deep topic, and again, I would love you to go away and do some more research. There's some people here who would probably love to answer your questions. One is Laura Crimmins from Branded 3, and the other is Ayesha Kellaway, who's on that side of the stage, who works with me at White.net, and they're really hot on this topic, so I would definitely encourage you to get in touch with them. So basically, just think about what teams you have in your agency and how much budget you actually have to reach out. Which brings me on to budgeting. At the moment, we have lots of different teams. We might have a digital PR team, we'll have a paid media team, an SEO team, and then separate to that, we might be a PR agency. Well, if you are a PR agency and you work with your clients just on a retainer basis, you might not have budget to actually be paying bloggers in whatever form when you're actually doing a campaign with them. So this might be something that you want to look at going forward. Or if you're in an agency environment, think about how you can work better across teams to make sure that the budget is actually used for the people that you need to work with. Because if a blogger really is that valuable to you and you have a cost associated with that, then potentially it is a route that you should go down. And if you don't have budget, try and look at a different tactic for your campaign. Finally, I would like to leave you with 8 blogger relation tips from a blogger. This is from the PR Newswire blog. I would encourage you to read it in full, but here are just some of the highlights. So when you're working with bloggers, start on their About, Disclosure, and PR pages. It's a really good place to start so you can see whether they even work with brands like us. And then once you've done that and you've sense checked it, do some more research. Are they posting on that topic in great detail? If they're not, potentially go down and find another blogger you can work with. Build a relationship before you actually pitch to them. So read their blog and comment as yourself rather than the brand that you represent, because when you contact them later on, they're likely to remember you and see you as a person rather than as like a faceless entity of a brand. This is something that I like to do on a regular basis. If you are holding an event, make sure you give them like plenty of notice to sign up and engage with you. This is just an example of one that I did. So the event took place on November 3rd last year. I reached out to bloggers almost a month earlier, and I made them feel really special by reaching out to them early and getting it in their diaries, because the later that you leave it, the more it seems like that you just didn't get enough people to sign up for the event, and you're kind of thinking of them as an afterthought. Be really clear and realistic with your requests when you're working with bloggers. The thing I would like to say here is just communicate and stay engaged with them. This is just a little story. I was holding an event, and a blogger was taking a little while longer to get their post live. But it turns out that actually it's because they were making this amazing video of their experience. And it's an asset that I hadn't even sort of talked to them about before. So it was a nice surprise, and it was really worth the wait. And because we kept engaging with each other, in the end, we both got the result that we wanted. Think beyond the blogger that you're working with and the niche, and think, are there multiple routes that you can go down rather than sort of monopolizing one different sector. For example, there was a new craft beer shop opening in Newbury, and you could kind of go down the route of finding people that love beer, but you can also think about the people that sort of love local stories. So both just as likely to sort of post about it, but you won't actually be just hitting up one section of the market. And if you are doing an event or you're doing a product review, make sure you have some assets handy so you can just provide them to bloggers. It's a really quick way of getting them to put something on their website. So for an event I did, I had some recipes available straight after the event so they could go away and upload it to their website with minimal effort. And remember that relationships don't stop at blog posts. This is just an example of me engaging with a few bloggers about Quality Street. I mean, it could be anything. You don't have to talk to them about anything in particular. Just keep the conversation going, because you don't know when you're going to need to work with them again, whether it's for the brand you're working with at the moment or some new business in the future. So finally, my takeaways for you today: decide whether blogger outreach is the right tactic for your budget, figure out whether you're looking for links, or you're trying to engage and expand your brand audience. If your campaign has a need for bloggers, find the ones who fit your budget and be fair. Neither party should get taken for a ride. Take the opportunity to develop skills of bloggers, share your knowledge with them that we have as an industry. Be nice, because a happy blogger is a happy brand. And the #1 takeaway is don't be an outreach horror story. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Enjoy your beer soon enough.
Fantastic. Another really good talk. I really, really appreciate that. Thanks so much.